We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Close the damn door, man. You're letting all the Wi-Fi out.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Hold On, I'm Almost There, a show about life's little annoyances, personal growth, dad life, and so much more, with your hosts, myself, Uncle Frank,
Kid Gristle,
and me, Tom.
So have a seat, do them chores, or twist a wrench while we dive down the rabbit hole. All right, on today's show, we're going to be talking about mind over matter of fact. And what that means to us is pushing yourself a little bit harder, a little bit further, almost in a sense to where knowing that you might not be able to do it, but you're going to push yourself to get it done no matter what it takes. So how do we train our brains? By using them, by making sure that we have enough in the tank to get us through whatever it is we're going to do. And then even reaching out to our friends, family, whoever gives us that extra push that's needed to get us over whatever hump it is we're trying to get over. All right, let's go.
Excellent. What are your thoughts on mind over matter of fact?
Well, as for me, to me, it comes down to one word: perseverance is really what we're talking about. How do you develop it? How do you make it grow? And it always comes down, and people, sometimes they may get tired of me harping on it. It always comes down to discipline. When you're not motivated, when you've lost your motivation, when you can't find your motivation, you can always fall back on discipline. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Jocko Willink, right? Discipline is the truest of virtues. Everything begins and ends with your discipline, your motivation, everything. When you're trying to persevere and you've got to get through something, sometimes all you have left is your discipline. All the time that you've put in beforehand, all the hours, all the times you've gotten up early. When you have nothing left, you're going to fall back on that and fall back on what you've always done, just out of a matter of habit. So when we talk about mind over matter and things like that, all these cool phrases, we see them on posters and we hang them on our wall. All they're really saying is discipline. Build your discipline, work on your discipline. And when you have that, honestly, we talked about the discipline blade, That's what it comes down to. How do I keep my discipline blade sharp? It's by always doing the little things that you have to do, that you don't think they count, but they actually do. Because when you are faced with a situation, when you have to get mind over matter, it's your discipline that's going to see you through.
I dig that. I'm on top of that. I agree with it. However, I've been at points in my life where I've pushed too hard. And I've ignored outside of my 5-foot bubble in order to try and incorporate my way versus the highway. And for me, and I think hopefully maybe for some people, it's almost a crutch to decide that your way is better. And you're going to persevere at the cost of all around you. And I think that's a detriment to yourself because you're not recognizing a certain intrinsic value that you have in maybe being wrong at times. Right. And I found, unfortunately, I'm wrong almost all the time. Right. So but there's something to be said for pushing through, breaking through the wall, falling back on your good habits and your quality in order to achieve your goals. I just happen to not be a goal-oriented individual. Therefore, I have to fall back on pure luck.
From the standpoint you're coming at, because we talked about this before the show. I see where you're coming from in that vein. Yes, you are right. From that viewpoint that you're coming from, I totally agree with that. Another thing I'd like to say, another example that I can use from my life, as far as mind over matter, almost tricking yourself, using your mind to trick your body in order to overcome what it is that's in front of you. In the early 90s, I've mentioned before, I used to train for the marathons. And there was a point where it gets to like mile 21, 22. And for those people out there that are not familiar with the Houston Marathon, as you're coming in around mile 20, through the end, basically you start at downtown, you make this gigantic loop through the city, through the surrounding areas, and then you come back and finish downtown. The last stretch is a place called, back then when I used to do it, was called Allen Parkway. And it was just a straightaway. And it started around mile 21. It's relatively flat, but there's not overpasses, but there's underpasses.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well be running through the Himalayas. When you're at mile 21, 22, that's what it feels like. You're going down, you're going up. At this point, when I had ran it, I was like totally dehydrated. I mean, I was exhausted. There's no way. You see the skyline in the distance. There's no way. You're telling yourself, there's no way I can get that far. I cannot make it. I've come to the conclusion, I cannot make it. But deep down inside, there's no way I can wake up tomorrow, look at myself in the mirror, and know that I quit. So I decide, as I'm running, and you're going through this mental conversation with yourself, right? Every step you're deciding whether or not I'm going to keep going, but I keep going. And I decide, well, if I'm gonna die out here. That's all that's gonna come to. I'm gonna get as far as I possibly can. So what I did, I can't make it to downtown, I told myself. But can I make it to that next stoplight up ahead? Yeah, I can do that. I kept going. I got there. I looked further ahead. Okay, I made it this far. Can I make it to that next billboard up there? Yes, I did. I had to do that. Literally block by block, all the way into downtown to trick myself. I had to take my eye off of the long-term goal at that point and break it down into very small goals that I knew I could get. I knew I could get to that next one. And when we do that, we can always do one more, whether it's one more rep at the gym, whether it's reading one more page in the book that we have to read for school, whether it's writing one more page that I'm trying to get through in this book. We can always do one more. We think about, I have to read the whole book, right? I have to do all 40 minutes of cardio. I have to run these last 5 miles of the marathon. No. Can I just run one more block? Yes. The answer is always yes in reality. And if we can just break it down to those truly attainable goals, we can use our mind over matter and get to where we're trying to go.
I like that. I like that mentality.
And part of what brought up this discussion for the show is this past Saturday, I set out to run 3 miles. That was my goal. I wound up running almost 6.
Man.
The first mile, I got really bad shin splints. I was like, man, I'm not even going to make this 3 miles. There's no way. The self-doubt started to already, I'm already telling myself I can't do something. Right. And I was like, man, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll just keep going, and maybe the pain will go away. Sure enough, pain went away. So I'm running, and I hit mile 2, and my chest starts hurting. I'm like, man, I'm out of breath. I can't really do it. Maybe I should just stop. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm just going to keep going, because it wasn't like a severe chest pain. It was more of, just like that. I haven't trained my lungs to breathe properly. So let me slow down just a bit. So I slowed down a little bit, was able to catch my breath, and I kept going. Well, I hit mile 4. Mile 4, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm lost in my neighborhood, because I started taking different turns to try to see how far I could keep running. By the time I knew it, I was back onto my main road, and then there's another section near a church that has this really long walkway. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go down this thing. So I went all the way down this thing, all the way back to the main road, and I hit 5 miles there. So I was like, wow, I'm not hurting too bad. Let me just keep going. Mile 5.5, my shoulders started hurting. My knee was hurting. My toes were hurting. That's the longest I've run in a really long time. And I just kept pushing it and pushing it until I got probably maybe about a block or 2 away from my house. And I just could not, my brain kept wanting to go, but my body was just it was like, all right, dude, this is enough. You've done what you set out to do. Save some for tomorrow so you can get out there. You don't want to injure yourself. Save some for tomorrow so you can get back out there and keep running. And sure enough, I slowed down. I walked the rest of the way to my house to cool down and everything. And the next day, oh my God, my knee was killing me. I was hobbling along, and the pool pump on my pool broke. So I had to replace it. And I was there hunched over, taking it out, went to go buy the other one, installed it, got it all done. But yeah, I mean, I was still in pain. My toes were hurting from the day before. My knee was hurting, but I got it done because I just kept pushing. Hey, I got to get this done. I can't stop, because if I stop, don't replace this motor, my pool's going to get green. Can't have that.
Talk about first world problems. My pool broke. but you mentioned something, and we can connect this to last week's discussion when I talked about doing cardio and watching music videos. When you said you got to mile 4 and you were lost, what happened to you mentally? You took your mind off of the chest pain, the splints, off of your misery. Like I said, take your mind.
Yeah.
You were concentrating on something else. All those little other things weren't bothering you anymore because you're worried about finding your way back, right?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You just keep going and going and going. And that's when you're in a situation like that. If you can find something to take your mind off the misery you're going through, or the challenge or the trial that you're being forced to go through, it's amazing that once you take your focus off of that and onto something else, if you can find anything else, it gets a lot easier to get through it.
I'm gonna change my stance, Tom, because I've been in that place a lot of times in my life where it's like, just get through this week, whether it's in college or in marriage, it's in a job, it's in a day, it's in a week, it's in a month, it's in a year. Just get to that next flag post. Right. And I'm all for that mentality, because I think, unfortunately, sometimes in our lives it's necessary to just look at that next flag post and not at the entire end goal.
Yeah.
And I'm for that. I'm for that mentality, because I think that's not only, I wanted to say that's the American way, to be some kind of patriotic douchebag, but I think that's the human way.
Right. That's and I watch all these motivational videos. That's how you develop a winner's mentality. Okay, forget about next year, forget about, this month. How can I win the day? Because if I can win today, I can win tomorrow. If I win enough days in the week, I've got a winning week. I win enough weeks, I've won the month, then I've won the year. But, and sometimes even just thinking about getting through the days too much. Can I just get through till lunchtime? Can I win the morning? Yeah, you do. And then you build that confidence. Can I win the rest of the day? Yes. And then you wake up tomorrow. Okay, can I win? As you put enough winning days together, you've got winning weeks, you got winning months, you got winning years. And you know what? Then you're a winner. And that's how winners approach things.
I agree. And if those listeners out there have not ever been in a situation where they are trying to win just to get to lunch, I applaud you. You have a blessed life. I know I've been there, where you're just it's just all you can do just to make it to the next break, so that you can decompress or reset your mind. If you've not been there, just give it some time, brother. You'll get there. You'll be in that position where you're crying inside and you just want to curl up in the fetal position, but you got stuff to do, and it's got to get done.
Yeah, that's the point of the whole thing, is you got stuff to do and it just has to get done. Right. And part of the other reason I brought this up too was that, I haven't barbecued in a really long time. It used to be one of my favorite things to do. I love the science. I love, eating, stuff like that. I lost my passion when I found out that there were a lot of things that I just couldn't eat anymore because of allergies. Right. And
remember the Twinkie story.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Over the weekend, I bought a small little, 22-inch Weber, little kettle grill. And yeah, I took it back to the fundamentals. When I learned how to barbecue, it was on one of those. And I marked the legs, the little the air vents on the bottom. I had one leg marked open, the other leg marked closed. So I knew, okay, this direction is open, this direction is closed. I have all these little markings. If I could, if I hadn't thrown the other one away because it just rusted out, but I had all these little markings from the various things that I learned from burning my first brisket. The thing was a shoe sole. The people that I had invited over, they were nice enough to taste it, but they're like, "There's no way I'm gonna eat this, man. I'm sorry. This is you burned it, whatever." Because I didn't know what I was doing. But trial and error just kept coming back. Hey, I burnt that brisket, but let me try cooking a steak. Let me try making burgers. And so now on Twitter, I'm sharing some of that information, learning how to make little trays out of aluminum foil to put your wood chips in. Because if you have, a small barbecue pit like that, you're using wood chips and not big old chunks of wood, because then you're just drowning out your meat with all that smoke. And all the other little techniques that I've learned, using a chimney as opposed to stacking it like a pyramid to load it to get the fire going. The chimney costs $10-15. You can find a cheap one, or you can buy those really expensive ones that are $30. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes to get those coal lit. You dump them, put a little bit more extra on there, and you're ready to go. Your meat's ready to meet the flame and get cooked. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm also showing my kids, hey, you have to respect the fire because it will burn you, literally. Teaching them everything that I remember learning. And then one of my oldest son, he just loves the science behind it, right. Explaining to him how the air flows through there and how the air feeds the flame. And if your flame gets too hot, you shut it down just a little bit, or, just all the different little things. He was so in love with it. And I love that about it too. We get to have great steaks or great meat.
So how did your burgers come out today? I saw you were cooking some on Twitter.
Today they came out really well. I was surprised. They came out really well.
Oh, Shane, how awesome would it have been if we were all sitting together eating burgers right now doing the show, right?
That would be amazing. And, it just goes to Frank's selfishness.
There you go.
Really, it speaks to his single-mindedness and his lack of thinking of others, that he did not invite us over to have some smoked burgers.
Right. Well, we can't say he didn't share, because he did share the pictures at least. So
yes,
I guess we can give him that credit.
I mean, I can't give him that credit because I'm somewhat of an anti-social media guy. I like to live in the moment. I don't want China to know everything I'm doing. But I know Frank is a qualified smoker, as all Texans should be, and that he's very methodical about the science of smoking. I worked in a barbecue shop in Oklahoma when I was in college, so I learned a little bit along the way. I'm about a half step away from getting one of those electric smokers, though.
Oh, that breaks my heart a little bit, but it saves time.
I've had an offset smoker since I lived in Illinois, and I've made a lot of briskets and a lot of really great pork shoulders and chicken, and I've done it all. And it's rusted out. It's got PVC pipes for legs, and it's just a rust bucket at this point. And I've been thinking, okay, how can I do this more effectively and efficiently? And quite frankly, if I can throw some wood chips in and hit a button that says, 125, 225, whatever it is you're cooking, and then just leave it and go about my daily chores and still come back to an amazing brisket, then I'm probably going to go that direction, because technology is king, man.
Yeah, and I'm all for that, because yes, in today's modern age, a time saver is a time saver. Automation nation, right? But one day it's gonna come to, having to know exactly how to do something like that, and there's not going to be a button for you to hit. As we all learned here in Texas, about a month ago, when that power goes out, Jack, how do you keep yourself entertained? Because you've got nothing now except daylight.
It's true. However, I have cooked a lot of meat over an open campfire and a half-assed grate on top. So it's not like I can't take it old school. But if I'm going to go in the backyard and mow the lawn and throw some hard-earned meat, whether that be venison, pork, what have you, if it's easier for me, the better.
There you go. I'm with that.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of hard-earned meat, tell us about your trip to Oklahoma, man. What was that? What did you do over there?
Are we talking about deer season?
No, the chickens.
You just go over there? Yeah, you
chicks.
sent me a video of little baby chickens.
No. So I went to northern Dallas, which is almost Oklahoma. I was I don't know, maybe like 6 miles away.
Let me stop you right there. You said Dallas. I'm done. Okay. What do you got, Tom?
I don't really like Dallas, but my in-laws live in kind of northeast of McKinney. So it's not really Dallas, but I have to drive through there to get there. And they've got a few acres, and they've got, I don't know, God, they got about 20 chickens. They built a huge garden. They're going full farm on it. For about 3 acres, that's pretty good to go full farm. And you have a rooster that crows every morning that wakes you up. They've got 4 dogs and 2 ferrets, and my brother-in-law loves fish, so he's got a freaking aquarium sticking out of the wall, and he's got a giant Asian fish pond, and they're just all in. So they had some baby chicks, and I wanted to take the kids to see the baby chicks. And my daughter, the very first baby chick that she picked up to love and to cuddle, and she was laughing, and I got a video of it, and it was awesome. It was a inspirational dad moment. And the damn thing jumped out of her hand and jumped between her and the wall and the incubator and almost got smashed. She almost killed a baby chicken. I've got it on video. I'm going to mock her forever. It's going to be awesome. But we had a good time. It very much is kind of a farm situation. They've got a blind cat that comes out at 2 a.m. Here I am sleeping on an air mattress on the floor, and this damn blind cat's walking around looking for its food bowl, and it's meowing. It's like, meow, meow. And I don't know if I've expressed this on the show, but I hate cats.
Me too.
I'm allergic to them. My whole family's allergic to them. I think they're useless, except as a farm animal out, in a barn catching rats. That's where they're really useful. Other than that, I don't think they're a very good domesticated animal. And so after about the 1800th meow in my ear, I may have reached out and struck at it and punched it in the face.
Get out of here.
I'm not really sure where I just threw my arm out, to kind of shoo it away. Open-handed. Right. I wasn't closed-fisted. I wasn't full Rocky Balboa. I just, it was waking me up at 2:30, and I threw my arm out, and I'm pretty sure I felt snout.
Oh.
And I felt bad the next day because I'd be blind, like its eyes are all glazed over, like somebody put Miracle Whip all over its eyes or something. I was like, oh, you damn cat. But
my goodness, poor cat.
Poor cat. I don't wish ill on any animal. I love animals so much. But at 2:30, I wanted to kill this cat because it was right in my ear. It just couldn't find his food bowl, so it's like right there.
Was it nibbling on your ear, thinking it was the food bowl?
No, a few years ago, though, it did come up to me in the same situation and kind of put its little paw out there and nip at me like cats do and like grab just the edge of your skin, and I'm just like, that's where I'm going to grab you by the neck because food chain, hello, I'm at the top. But no, it's a good
Did you
cat.
say food chain or food chain?
Food chain.
Food chain. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You
It's
Oh,
the
mean-
same-
he loves animals, but he almost killed a baby chick
yeah,
and beat up a cat.
And beat up a cat. Yeah.
He
I was
loves
gonna say,
animals.
you
He
know,
loves
I-
them.
I don't
I
like
love
cats
animals.
either, but I won't.
Ferrets.
strike-
Has anybody seen the ferrets lately? I mean,
My dog.
he's got a ferret. He's got a ferret coon hat on now.
When we go up there, we take my dog, which is a miniature schnauzer, and the breed of this dog, I think somewhere in German history was for trapping and catching rodents. So it wanted to kill those two ferrets really, really bad. Got its mouth around one of them. My daughter was holding it, and she was like, "Oh, Amos," that's my dog's name. "Oh, Amos, look at this ferret." And Amos reached up and was like, "I will eat you now, because that is what my soul desires, to eat you." And everybody freaked out. And I said, "I've been telling you guys for 2 days, that dog's going to eat that damn ferret. I don't know what you're doing. You're messing around. That ferret's going to die if you keep messing around with that dog." And it almost happened. My dog almost killed a ferret, and I'm very proud of it because I also like ferrets almost as much as I don't like cats.
You know, I've always wanted a ferret for some reason. I don't. When I was a little kid,
You just
that
wanted
movie
to be Conan.
Beastmaster. No,
Yeah.
close. That movie
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster, and he had the two ferrets. Man, I thought that was the coolest thing.
That was
Yeah.
the damn coolest movie ever.
That was
If
an
you-
awesome movie.
If you can't get behind Beastmaster, then you can suck it, because that was a great movie.
That was
Is that a prequel to Game of Thrones?
You're telling me
that's-
you haven't seen Beastmaster either.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
I'm
okay,
se-
good.
but it's with the whole people living out in rocks and
Right.
Oh
man,
yeah,
that was it's been a really long time. You know what? I might actually go out and I might find that movie this weekend and check it out.
I wanted a helmet. Remember the bad guy? He had that black helmet with those like antler things. But I always said growing up, I always mentioned how in the 80s I was like this big wrestling. That's what I was going to be. In the 80s, I was going to be a wrestler. And I was going to wear one of those helmets with the big antlers. And because I was obviously going to be a bad guy as a wrestler. So I was going to show up with one of those helmets.
You fit the bill. That would be pretty good. I'd watch that. What is it now? WWE or hell? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's
What
a
it-
couple different-
what
It's
letters
not
are
wrestling.
using
When we were
anymore.
little, that was real wrestling. You know, they actually
Yeah.
really fighting each other, you know.
Oh, for sure. They were all coked up and running in the ring and just shooting out fire from their mouth and Jake the Snake in it all over the place, man.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the days.
man. If you can't smell what The Rock is cooking, I pity the fool.
Pity the fool.
Pity the fool. Pity the fool. Anyway, so we talked about mind over matter of fact. I also wanted to get into what I like to call a slow burn project, and that's something that you've been working on for a really long time, something that you're really striving for in understanding and really trying to get as good as perfect as you possibly can. What's something that you've been working on for a while, Tom?
Well, it's and you know what? It's so ironic that tomorrow might be the fruition of my slow burn project. So I've got some things cooking up. I don't want to come out loud, come out and announce it because I don't want to jinx it. I'm one of those guys. I don't want to say it before it's time. But tomorrow, hopefully next week, we can say that one of my projects that I've been working on, one of my career goals, add this to the list, will come to fruition tomorrow. Hopefully I go for my first meeting, kind of do like a little bit of a preceptorship, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but I got to go sign some paperwork. So until I get that paperwork signed, I'm going to hold off on announcing, but it does have something to do with working out, working at a certain place, helping certain people. But that's about all I want to give away at the moment.
Man, that's awesome.
But it's like you said, since before I even came on the show, it's something I had been working on. I'd gone to all the classes, getting the certification that you have to get. And, this has just been a lifestyle that I've had for 20 something years, going back to the 90s. So talk about slow burn, right? And hopefully tomorrow I'll get just a one more notch in the ladder of where I'm trying to get to.
Awesome. Yeah, man. That's fantastic, dude. I mean, I can see the excitement in your face.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
And golly, man, I hope everything works out for you tomorrow. Super excited. And we were talking about barbecue earlier. The best briskets cook for, sometimes 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's super slow burn, slow and low. Easy does it. You can't rush perfection. It takes time to build momentum, and you will get at it, get to it, as long as you keep on working towards it. What's something that you're working on, Shane?
Man, I've got so many things I've done over my life that are slow burns that I've either given up on, or they're so slow that it's like 1 year I'll get back to them. And that's been my whole life. I've got dozens of internal and external projects that I've had to put on the back burner and just let ruminate in the coals. My ultimate slow burn is getting to heaven with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, baby. I'm just trying to get there.
There you go.
Okay, well, let's have one while you're here, though.
While I'm on this planet.
Can you make a commitment to pick up one of your slow burn projects and pick it back up, and let's start talking about it throughout the show, man?
So I've got a backyard project. I've had it ever since I bought my house several years ago, and it has morphed into different ideas. The current idea is to dig up this entire area of land by my porch, which I think the previous owners used to have a hot tub, but now it's just a mound of dirt. And so what the wife has convinced me to do
in the front yard,
in the backyard,
Oh,
yes, I apologize. In the backyard. And what my wife has convinced me to do, and I think in her wisdom it will look amazing, is to dig up the area of land that is kind of off kilter by the back porch, and level it out. Put some rock there, and some I don't know, some flat rock around the edges, and kind of create an area where we can then have a place to sit and have a fire pit, which I have already dug the hole for the fire pit. So I just need to put the metal fire pit in the hole. And that's just step one. And then step two is to extend that over to the garage and do the same kind of rock pattern next to the garage and throw out a succulent garden.
Oh, okay.
Because, you don't have to take care of that crap. You just throw it out there and succulents grow. In Houston, anyway, you really don't have to take care of succulents. And I don't want bushes and things that I have to trim. I've had houses like that. I don't want to have to mess with it. I want to put it there and let it live. And so we're, that whole area, probably a 20-foot area, that we'll just put a little succulent garden, and hopefully it will improve the visibility, the ambiance of the out backyard. Throw in the fire pit because I love fire. I love watching a fire, and just kind of get her done.
So what you're saying is
we're gonna have a listener party, is what I'm hearing. You're gonna bring your little barbecue pit, Frank. We're gonna go to his place with the fire pit, and we're just gonna hang out. Man, I'm hearing it like this could be a really awesome.
Yeah, I'll get my electric smoker, and we'll throw in some pork shoulder, and we'll let the wife do her epic vinegar and mustard sauce for the pork shoulder. Man. Frank can cook a brisket, and we can get her done.
Yeah,
that sounds like an anniversary show.
You know what? We're coming up. Well, we're a little bit away. We're about 20 shows. Well, less than 20 shows.
He still has a lot of work to do.
We're less than 20 shows away from our 50th episode, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
That is pretty amazing. That blows my mind. Like, this is episode number 33.
33.
So, we're getting on up there. I can't believe it. We got to start planning something for episode number 50. Yeah.
If I can get that done by 50, it will be amazing. Because every weekend, I'll wake up on Saturday. I'm like, I'm going to do this. This is what's going to happen. Oh, but one kid has to go there. The other kid has to go here. We have laundry. We have cleaning. You got to maintain your house. The dog needs to be groomed. You need to shower because you haven't showered in a week, whatever the case may be. Life gets in the way of all these goals that we have. And I sometimes I lament for just living in the woods in a lean-to, because then you've got enough time to get to all the projects you want to get to because you don't have anything else you have to do.
Hey, mind over matter of fact, okay? Mind over matter of fact.
God. My mind over the fact that you don't matter.
Or that you may or may not be God's succulent, because he just wants to throw you out there and let you live. I like that analogy, man.
I do too. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I am.
Something else that helped me out a lot with one of my slow burn projects that I'm working on. I mentioned before plenty of times how I'm trying to get through this book that I'm trying to write, and you hit these things called writer's block, where you just you're kind of at a point where you're stuck. Well, going back to what we discussed last week, and we were laughing about Game of Thrones and all that stuff, and I happened to mention I found the audiobook on YouTube. So I'm listening to it, and I love the guy's style of writing so much, and it inspires me so much that while listening to it, that's all I've been listening to for like 2 days, it has re-energized me in my slow burn project as far as my writing, where I was like, wait, that's what I'm missing. Okay, it got me back on track. Like you kind of like lose your way. Like like you said, you lost your way and I lost my way. And I'm like, what is it I'm not doing? Why is it I'm having such a hard time? And when I heard something that inspired me and it reignited that inspiration, man. Awesome. And I realized that today because I'm listening to it while I'm walking my dogs. I got these big dogs I have to go walk while I'm out there, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, all of a sudden, all these ideas and the way of phrasing things and the way of describing things started coming back to me. And and like I said, we were talking about slow burn projects. That's my slow burn project related to what we talked about last week. And like I said, whatever you can find that can motivate you, use it. Everything around you, anything you come across, you can always use it for something, some kind of tool. You can take advantage of it. Things come into our lives for reasons, right? And it's up to you sometimes to figure out what that reason is and use it and make the best you can of it. And that's just a simple example of something that came into my life by something kind of silly that we talked about last week. Yeah. But yet that was the ignition that I needed.
So it sounds to me also really quickly that you're going to dedicate the book to me is what I'm.
You'll be in there.
It's
in the back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tom, I will give you some advice that has not worked for me.
What is that?
On any of the 3 books I have attempted to write, and that is to find your voice. And for some reason, the voice of every one of the books I've tried to write has been Sam Elliott every time.
Really?
Oh man.
Oh man, yeah.
Every time I write a book, it's kind of a Tom Sawyer-esque kind of sound, but I always hear Sam Elliott reading it back to me in my head, and I think that sounds awesome. And then I read it later, and I'm like, if the reader doesn't hear Sam Elliott's voice in their head, this sounds really dumb.
Now, I'm going to tell you something really crazy, and you're going to laugh when I tell you. This book that I'm writing, it was inspired by a Japanese pop song.
Oh.
The girl is weird.
Well, this gets weirder. The girl in the book, the main character, is, of course, inspired by one of the singers in this Japanese group. So I've heard her try to speak English, right? So I'm writing the book, and I'm hearing the book in her broken English.
Oh, wow.
To you. Yes. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to write in broken English, but the voice that I'm hearing telling me what's going on is a Japanese broken English. It's funny. It's a little bit different than your voice.
I'm all for that. And it also sounds like something somebody would say who would stalk a runner in San Francisco.
I could, yeah, a little
now,
bit.
right? It's all
Little
making
bit.
sense now.
Yeah.
It is. It's
When they
all
do,
coming
they do the
together.
biography on the investigative channel, it's going to
Yeah.
make a good episode.
Oh my God.
Tom, you might be DB Cooper. I don't know.
I do like sunglasses.
Well,
That's right.
there you go. There's the connection right there. There it is.
Tom is DB Cooper.
All right. So we've changed things up just a little bit. We're gonna throw at you the word of today, and Shane's gonna give that to you right quick.
Oh, yeah. Throw that on me real quick without being prepared. Today's word of the day is nescience. Nescience. It is the lack of knowledge or ignorance. And I chose this word of the day because that's how I feel every day.
All right. Well, yeah, I can see that in your face every time I talk to you and every conversation that we've had. There is always a lack of knowledge and plenty of ignorance behind those kind eyes.
That's only
Grizzle.
because
Thank you.
you don't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth.
This is true. It's all gibberish. It just, yep, sounds coming out of your mouth. Tom, I know we're super excited. I'm super excited about this. Give us the update on the Final Four bracket for the Name That Tom contest.
Oh, just about an hour ago, the final poll closed on the first round. So we are down to our final four. There's 4 names left. In one matchup, it's going to be the Blade versus El Viking after my DNA revelation from last week. Then on the other side, it's going to be the Machine versus the Motivator. Man, you should have seen. It was like the Machine beat Bro Glow by like 1 vote.
The Machine.
I was gunning for bro.
I was steadily like that. I was just kept checking back in on Twitter to see how the results, because it was going back and forth. It was actually pretty cool watching it.
Oh my goodness!
So next week, when we sit down to record next week, we're gonna know the results so that when the show comes out next Friday, if that's gonna be championship weekend with March Madness, we're gonna announce our champion. And that's gonna be the nickname winner. It's gonna be awesome.
I think it's important that our listeners hear. It is important that our listeners hear exactly what that sounds like. So my vote is for the Machine. So the Machine, Tom Mungia. I mean, that has a flow. You can feel that in your soul. That's my vote.
That's your vote. Well, you're gonna have to go on Twitter and make it, official.
You're gonna have to come out of the woodwork and let China know what you want.
No, China can suck it. I don't Twitter.
Everybody keep an eye out on Twitter, because that's where you're gonna get to vote. I mean, you actually click on a name, you click on the one that you want. We're gonna have, like I said, the semifinals. We got the 2 matchups. You're gonna vote. The winners of those 2 are gonna meet up, and between we're gonna have a champion. We'll announce it next Friday's show.
It's like the NCAA bracket, but more awesome.
I'm excited. Right. I'm nervous.
So for everybody out there listening, come back next week and find out what and if Tom Mungia's slow burn project, what that is, whether it came to fruition. You're going to hear all about our Name That Tom contest. Not only the name, but the winner. Who's getting that hoodie? Who is getting that hoodie?
But more importantly, they need to vote.
You need to go out there and vote. Get out there and vote.
To be on our Twitter handle. That's where you go.
Yep. So my Twitter handle is @FatSqueezle, and Tom's is IamPaulinikes.
And ours. Hold on, I'm almost there.
Oh yeah, and the Hold On, I'm Almost There. For the podcast. Exactly. Shane, if you could find them, I mean, name a pigeon, send it out there. It's just like sending out a tweet.
I think mine is Slam42, Slam42.
There you go.
Cat killer.
If you tweet me directly, I'll be surprised.
All the animal rights activists attack his Twitter. Don't attack ours. Attack his.
I do not condone any of that.
If you don't condone eating red meat, then you're not American.
I mean, I don't know about all that. I like eating. I like eating my barbecue. So, I mean, it's there. That's there. So, come back next week. Find out what you're gonna find out.
Go.
Listen about Tom, Slow Burn, and his new nickname, which will be debuting next week. Shane's gonna give us an update on his rock garden slash succulent. Hopefully, I will have enough time at work to also talk about my sensei sessions that I've
yeah.
been trying to have. Man, work's just been getting in the way. Either something I've got going on, projects like mad, or the person that I'm having the session with, they've got something going on, PTO, everything's getting in the way. I'm just trying to ask questions here and there, and hope